Hi guys, it's Ebird Online and I'm here with the first part of my review for Before the 90 Days. This is Season 3, Episode 11, Hard to Say I'm Sorry. And for this review, I'm going to be talking about Tim and Jennifer and Angela and Michael. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for regular content and regular reviews. Also, don't forget to put the thumbs up if you like what you hear. And first up, we go to Angela and Michael. So we first meet with them and they're shopping in one of the markets. Then they decide to stop and have a drink, and talk turns to the goofballs. Michael tells Angela he's very unhappy with her attitude. He didn't like the way that she spoke to his friends, but she counters with she doesn't like to be sniggered at or laughed at. Angela, get off national TV, as that's all that people will be doing, sniggering at you and laughing at you. Michael tells her he wants more respect, and unfortunately for him, Angela's still talking about that night, the night that she was almost hospitalised, i.e. not hospitalised but at home. The night that she decided she wanted to talk to Michael on the phone all night and for him not to go out with his friends, even though she was in America and he was in Nigeria. She tells him she would have never gone out in a million years. No, you wouldn't, Angela, because you're nearly bloody 60. And it's unbelievable to me at this point that she still thinks she's right and she's not even thinking about what she's asking of him. And then she tells Michael she bottled everything up, all of the anger and all of the upset, and that's why she was so angry with the goofballs, because it all came out at that moment. Michael says, well, please forgive me for upsetting you. Angela thinks about it for a moment and she says, finally, I think I can forgive you. Angela, there is nothing to forgive. He should be forgiving you. Then Angela tells him that he must only put God and his mum before her. And I'm quite surprised that she said his mum. We know she doesn't like him talking to women. Then she gives him the bad news. Michael, she says, I'm gonna be your wife. Oh God. And because of this, she says she wants to apologise to the goofballs. And I can't help but think the use of the word goofballs means that she's probably not really apologising. Let's see, shall we? Michael says that he's happy with that and he'll set up a meeting with the goofballs as soon as possible. But what she says next is completely unsurprising from Angela, because as with all fake apologies, she's not really going to apologise. Why, I hear you ask? She said she's going to apologise for her behaviour, but no way is she going to apologise for what she said. Angela, that's not an apology. So Michael sets up this meeting and the goofballs roll in. As they sit down, Michael tells them he's unhappy with them because of the way they spoke to Angela, and they do look contrite, and I can't help but think that Michael's only bollocking the goofballs for the sake of Angela. The green card is on a loop in his head, going round and round. He needs to do everything he can to safeguard it. Next, it's Angela's turn to speak, and she tells them, I apologise, but I will not forget what you've done, and we will never, ever be friends. She's so rude. What sort of an apology is followed up with the phrase, we will never, ever be friends? No apology. She may as well have just said, hey goofballs, sozza. In fact, not even sozza, soz. That's about how real her apology was. But for their part, the goofballs say, we're sorry, Michael and Angela, in unison, and they sound about as convincing as Caesar does talking about Maria. Angela graciously accepts their apology, and she tells them, I'm not as bad as I present myself. Angela, oh yes you are, you're much, much worse. And then she fake cries. She tells us all she feels really sad because they didn't give her a chance. 1, because she's not Nigerian, and 2, because she's much older than Michael. Angela, you've forgotten the following. 1, you're overbearing. 2, you're a control freak. In at 3, you won't let Michael be anywhere where there are women, which is most places. 4, you stop Michael from working or having a job. 5, you stop Michael from socialising. 6, you force Michael to have intercourse with you. And 7, you're a massively irritating battle axe. You've forgotten those things, Angela. That's really what you should feel sad about. And with all the sorries said, the goofballs leave, and we see Angela talking to the VT, and again she's worrying about the baby. She's saying she worries that if she can't have this baby for Michael, will the goofballs talk him out of marrying her? Angela, even if you can have a baby, the goofballs will try their bloody hardest. But worry not, having a baby's not possible. And that's where we leave Angela and Michael this week. Like I say, I simply don't believe that Angela has the funds to bring Michael to the US. And something tells me Michael's completely wasting his time, and that they'll never be married and he'll never have a green card. If for some strange reason that happens, Angela, you will be done within the first week of Michael being in America for domestic violence. And let's see what Angela and Michael bring us next week. And next up for this review, Tim and Jennifer. And we find Tim sitting outside in a cafe, and he tells us he's now been in Colombia for 2 weeks. Tim, it doesn't seem a day over 2 months. This has been so drawn out and so turgid. At this point, I simply want it all to be over. Tim tells us the Skype call was uncomfortable for him last week, but he thought it went very well. And he says Jennifer has finally accepted that Veronica and Chloe are not going anywhere. And Tim, I think he's missing the point a little bit here. As far as I'm concerned, the point was you do not need to have such close contact with your ex-girlfriend. And that's where I think Jennifer's actually coming from. But what the call highlighted to me is that Veronica asked straight away about if they'd had sex, and it highlights that there's potentially a problem that I think Veronica more than likely had to deal with as well. He then tells us he wants to talk over the relationship again with Veronica, who's his best friend. Tim, Veronica is not your best friend. Veronica is your ex-girlfriend. A best friend has your best interests at heart. Veronica does not. Veronica has her own interests at heart. So he spoke to Veronica and asked her what she thought of the relationship. And of course, Veronica poured crap all over it. She said she's really young. Do you know if she really loves you? And you're a guy with a big heart. And I don't want to see you taken advantage of. And then she asked about sex again. Is there something Veronica wants to tell us? To be fair, I'd be very interested to hear it. And Tim says, I don't know why it's such a big deal. I don't know why that really matters. And then Veronica continues, also, you've been fighting since you've been there. And you haven't been intimate yet. And all of the things that Veronica says, I have to admit she is talking sense. But I feel that from Veronica, it comes from a bad place. It comes from a place of her not wanting Tim to get with anybody. Not just Jennifer, any woman. And Tim says he's about to hit 39. And he sounds somewhat desperate at this point. And he says, I'll either tell Jennifer we move forward or it's done. And Veronica says, yeah, just keep dating. There are many other options. You don't have to marry her. And Tim tells Veronica that he's quite upset with her because she's saying the opposite of what he thought she'd say. But Veronica's saying exactly what I thought she'd say. And when we meet up with Tim again, Tim is planning to give a ring to Jennifer, which is even more fraught with problems than Zied's ring to Rebecca. He shows us the ring in a box. It looks unclean and second hand. And guess what? Veronica has given this ring to Tim in case he should want to propose. And at this point, if I didn't know it before, Veronica is the sneakiest biatch in all of Charlotte. She knows that as and when Jennifer finds out the ring was originally hers, she's going to go ballistic. And we next meet up with Tim and he tells Jennifer, I have a surprise for you. Surprise! We're going on a rubbish, boring picnic. And the worst thing is, it's not even a surprise for Jennifer because she points out that he has a picnic basket. Tim, if something's rubbish, it's not a surprise. It's maybe a shock or even an outrage, but it's certainly not a surprise. And they sit down for a picnic and Jennifer thinks the whole thing's super romantic. Wait till she gets Veronica's old tatty ring. And to be fair, the picnic does look nice and he's pulled out all the stops and he has champagne. And Jennifer says it makes her feel like a princess. The only blot on the landscape was that Jennifer asked Tim yet again about sex. And she asked Tim, are you gay? He said he wasn't gay and he made various excuses for not having had sex. But she knows, as we all do, there is more to this not having sex than meets the eye. It seems as if he'll do absolutely anything to get out of it. But then all of a sudden, there was a surprise. Tim said he'd go for a walk in the countryside. Shocker. And they go for a walk, but it looks like it's only about 20 steps. They stand on a cliff edge. And Tim said, you and I, Jennifer, we have a really unique story. And then he gave her the ring. Was this a marriage proposal? I'm still wondering because he didn't ask her dad for her hand in marriage. And he didn't get on one knee. But Jennifer's still unsure. And true to form, the next time we meet up with them is back at the Airbnb apartment. And Tim is telling us, yet again he fell asleep on Jennifer. Jennifer asked him why. Tim said it had been a really long day and that he was very tired. And guys, if I'm honest, talking to my friends on the phone outside cafes and going out for a nice relaxing picnic in the countryside, well, it always takes it out of me. I'm surprised he didn't have to get Jennifer to give him a piggyback back to the car. It's so tiring. Tim, please try and make your excuses logical. At this point, Tim doesn't even have the wherewithal to make up a decent excuse. But Jennifer says this is still a big problem for her. Am I not pretty enough for you? That's surely a rhetorical question because Jennifer thinks she's the bee's knees. Tim said, oh Jennifer, now you're making me feel bad. Now I feel like the girl. And sometimes, guys, these jokes just write themselves. So to help Jennifer out, Tim decided to take her to a spa. And he said he was going to get someone else to relieve her tensions. Maybe she's going to get a massage with a happy ending. So they go to a really fancy spa in a hotel. And they both have a facial and a massage. And later on in the pool, Jennifer's looking at her ring and she says it's beautiful. Where did you get it? And I think that she's noticed it's an old piece of crap. She's hoping, as we all hope with old rings, that maybe it's his grandmother's and it's an old antique ring and it's of sentimental value for him. He tells her, I've had the ring for 10 years. Ooh, 10 years? Not grandmother's then. Maybe somebody else. Whose ring was it? It's Veronica's. And Tim told Jennifer she did it to be really nice. Before I left, she wanted to give me this ring so I could give it to you if it went well. And it's a promise ring. It certainly is a promise ring, Tim. Veronica promises to F things up between you and Jennifer as much as she can. Jennifer tells Tim it's her trash and I don't want it, and she puts it on the side of the pool. Tim tells her you're overthinking it. Tim actually knows she isn't. She knows exactly what it is. You've given a ring to somebody else, it didn't quite work out, and even though you're super close with this person, you're now giving me her leftovers. No woman is going to accept that. It's completely ridiculous. I think at this point she'd rather you borrowed $200 from her, gone into some dodgy market and bought a cubic zirconia ring with her own money than give her Veronica's old ring. And as we leave them for this week, Tim finally confesses he knows he's messed up and he knows giving her Veronica's old trash did some damage. So what do you guys think? Do you think Veronica is in it just to mess things up? And do you think that Tim has some sort of real problem with sex? I'm beginning to think there's some sort of real problem. I can't imagine what the problem is. People are saying he's gay, but I just don't really buy that. It really is a puzzle. Let me know in comments what you think. You know I love reading all of your comments. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'll have part 2 of this episode for you tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening. You're listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.